In the last video, I told you about the telemedicine practice, and I had told you that on 25th of March 2020, the government of India came up with a concept of telemedicine practice guidelines. Well, these guidelines were formulated during the COVID times, which enabled the registered medical practitioners to provide a healthcare using telemedicine. So the government of India wanted to define what is a telemedicine and who is a registered medical practitioner and how one can provide telemedicine or teleconsultations. So now let's see what are these guidelines. I told you in my last video that these guidelines have been prepared in partnership with the Niti Aayog committee. Well, these guidelines before setting up certain things for how to do a teleconsultation also defines what is the definition of a telemedicine, definition of telehealth, and definition of who is a registered medical practitioner. So now let's see what is the scope of telemedicine in future in this video. And in this video, we shall also see the entitlement of an RMPs to practice guidelines, practice the telemedicine. The telemedicine applications like mode of communication, timing of the information transmitted, purpose of consultation, and individuals involved in providing teleconsultation. So in this video, we shall be discussing about what is the definition of telemedicine, definition of telehealth, definition of a registered medical practitioner. So before we go to those particular details, let's see the definition of telemedicine. Telemedicine is the delivery of healthcare services where distance is a critical factor. So what does telemedicine mean? So it is the delivery of healthcare services where distance is a critical factor, and by all means, healthcare professionals using information and communication technologies for the exchange of valid information for diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of disease and injuries, research and evaluation, and for continuing the education of healthcare providers, all in the interest of advancing the health of the individuals and their communities. So now let's break up this definition and see what does it mean. So what is telemedicine? Telemedicine is the delivery of healthcare service. So it indirectly means to say that we can provide a consultation over the phone or other modalities of information and communication. So it is the delivery of healthcare services. So we can provide consultation. It doesn't mean we can provide only consultation. We can tell certain other first aid methods or some of the life-saving methods through the teleconsultation mode. So it is the delivery of healthcare services where distance is a critical factor. So what do you mean by a critical factor over here is that this is usually helpful for patients who are staying at remote places where they can't come and consult the doctors. Okay, so does it mean that teleconsultation or telemedicine is only for people staying in the remote area? No, it applies to all the people who can't come to the hospital, or being or staying at a home also you can consult your doctor. But there are certain advantages and disadvantages which we shall be discussing as we go down the lane of this video. So telemedicine is the delivery of healthcare services where distance is a critical factor by all healthcare professionals. So all the registered medical practitioners, that is what we told, that is RMPs, can provide this healthcare delivery, or healthcare professionals can provide this telemedicine consultation. How do we provide it? It is using this information communication technologies. So this could be the simple use of your telephonic conversation. It could be use of your WhatsApp communication. It could be use of video calls. It could be use of certain applications which are exclusively meant for providing teleconsultation. So it is for the exchange of valid information for diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of the disease and injuries, research, evaluation, and for continuing the education of the healthcare providers, all in the interest of advancing the health of the individuals and their communities. So telemedicine is basically targeting the delivery of healthcare services which is in the interest of advancing the health of the individuals or the patients and the community. So telemedicine is the delivery of healthcare services where distance is a critical factor, where a patient can't come to the hospital. So by all means, the healthcare professionals using information and communication technologies for the exchange of valid information for diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of a disease and injuries, research and evaluation, and for continuing education of healthcare providers, all in the interest of advancing the health of the individual or the patients and their communities. Now let's see what's the definition of telehealth. So it is the delivery and the facilitation of the health and health related services, including medical care, provider, and the patient education. So here we do have a patient education modality also. Okay, and health information services and self-care via telecommunication and digital communication technologies. So what I would like to tell you all is that before we go into this details of telehealth, remember there is something called as telemedicine, which the government is, what I can say is promoting in a larger way. And what is this telemedicine definition we have seen in this particular video. And before we go into the depth of this telehealth, which is, I feel we shall skip it out and move on to the definition of a registered medical practitioner. Okay, who is a registered medical practitioner as per this guidelines of telemedicine? As per these guidelines of telemedicine, a registered medical practitioner is a person who is enrolled in the state medical register or Indian medical register under the Indian Medical Council Act of 1956. So if you want to provide a telemedicine or a teleconsultation, you should be a registered medical practitioner who is enrolled in the state medical register or an Indian medical register under the Indian Medical Council Act 1956. With this, I shall be ending the video over here, and we shall be back with another video on the guidelines for telemedicine and teleconsultation with further details for telemedicine and teleconsultation. Till then, enjoy, take care, bye bye.